A land known for its inventions and precision, Germany's thinkers and innovators have changed how the world built, learned, and communicated. And among them was one man who carried that spirit far beyond Europe, to Kerala. His name was Hermann Gundert.
I am Dr. Mohandas.
I am Jaiprakash Raghavaiah.
I am Advocate Victor Anthony Noon.
I have completed my PhD in journalism from Madras University.
I am an economic and social historian.
I am a practicing lawyer as well as a person interested in various subjects.
My study area was the historical and journalistic aspects of Indian journalism from 1847 to 1947.
When Hermann Gundert arrived in Kerala, he brought more than just a scholar's curiosity. He brought ideas that would shape how knowledge was shared. Out of that vision came Rajyasamacharam, Malayalam's first news journal, printed in his lithographic press, established in the veranda of the Illikunna bungalow.
Rajyasamacharam, the first Malayalam journal, was an education material or tool for the upliftment of the downtrodden people.
Rajya, he meant the kingdom of God.
And Rajyasamacharam, it was a monthly newspaper. Every page is written by a Tamilian. His name is Kanyan Kadu. Without any overwriting, he prepared this newspaper in cyclostyle method. And only 41 issues came out. The first Malayalam story was published in this Rajyasamacharam.
So they are very readable stories.
And the first report from outside India, from Africa, from New Zealand, from America, from England, from Germany, it came out through this newspaper. And a cosmopolitan outlook was introduced through this newspaper.
Rajyasamacharam wasn't just the first Malayalam news journal, it looked like one. Clear columns, bold headings, simple and pure Malayalam in an organized layout gave it the structure of a true newspaper. It set the foundation for Malayalam journalism in both form and purpose. A few months later, that same year, Gundert published Paschimodayam.
When he started Paschimodayam, his idea was to introduce Western sciences and Western arts to the readers in Kerala. So he was very specific about it in the first issue itself. He said that just as you have science and arts here, in Western country, Paschima's West, in Western countries also we have our science and we have our arts. The object of our paper is to introduce that Western science and arts to the people of Kerala.
He himself introduced solar system in Kerala, and Paschimodayam shows maps also. It was a great change in the history of Malayalam journalism, and the scientific temper of the Malayali was changed through this next newspaper, Paschimodayam. So in South India, we can see Paschimodayam as a first scientific newspaper, and which gave knowledge of Western ideas and Western research.
So these were the two pioneering newspapers in Malayalam.
He had started later other papers like Kerala Upagari, Kerala Yuva. It was a short-lived paper for the youth only. All this he had started from his lithographic press in Nettur, in Talcherry.
These publications form the roots of Malayalam print culture, journalism, education, and literature all sprouting from the same soil. But who was Hermann Gundert? Who was this man whose words reshaped a language that wasn't even his own? To find the answer, let's go back to 19th century Germany.
Hermann Gundert was a German national. He came from Stuttgart in Germany. He was basically first a theologian, then a philosopher from Tübingen University. He did his doctoral work in philosophy. He was invited by a British civil servant to come to India to teach his children the basics of Western languages and culture.
When Gundert realized that the children weren't really interested in his lessons, he accepted an invitation from the Basel mission to join their work, a decision that later brought him to Kerala.
I should say something about Basel mission also. It was established in the Swiss city of Basel in 1815. 1840, Basel missionary Samuel Hebig came to Kannanur and established a station here. And around that time only, Hermann Gundert came to Tellicherry to join him. Before coming to Malabar, Gundert had already seen some parts of South India and also Bengal. He had worked in Tamil Nadu, he had worked in Andhra Pradesh, and it is after that he came here. But he loved Kerala. He loved the greenery of the Kerala. He loved the foliage of this country. He loved the climate of this region. And it is for this reason that he started calling Kerala God's own country. Now it has become a very big cliche, that expression. And Hermann Gundert stayed in Tellicherry mainly because Hermann Gundert was offered a spacious bungalow by the then magistrate, Justice Strange, Thomas Strange is his full name, and rest of the work was conducted by Hermann Gundert, mainly based in two areas. One is Tellicherry, and part of the time he worked in a place called Chirakkal, which is now part of Kannur's town.
In Tellicherry, Gundert wasn't just a missionary. He built schools, started orphanages, and began understanding the language of the people.
Gundert had started in 1841 an English medium school for boys and girls at Illikunnu, Tellicherry, North Malabar.
Basel Mission believed in giving literacy for all the converts. Hermann Gundert started an orphanage for boys and girls. Girls' orphanage was managed by Julie Gundert and boys' orphanage by Hermann Gundert. The children who came to join the orphanage, they came mainly from mixed parentage background, and many of these children were children of single parent families. So Anglo-Indians and Indo-Portuguese children were there. So the language medium of education, as he thought, was English. Gundert had known already many Indian languages before he came here. He had learned Sanskrit while he was traveling in the ship. He had learned Bengali during a short stint in Bengal. Then in Tamil Nadu he had learned Tamil, and in Andhra he had learned Telugu. So before he came to Tellicherry, he knew all these languages. But Gundert is always related to Malayalam language because Malayalam was the language that he not only loved but carried it in his heart.
Formerly, there were no established education, no books. There were what was called Kudi Pallikudam, that is Gurukulam, single teacher establishment. So it was changed by the modern type of education by Gundert.
It is said that Gundert used to carry a notepad and a pencil with him in his coat always. And whenever he heard a new word, he immediately jotted down the word and then he asked the precise meaning of these words. Thus, he started his work, which culminated in the preparation of the first Malayalam English dictionary.
Another great contribution of Gundert was in standardizing Malayalam vocabulary. There were various words for the same thing. So if a king takes food, it was Amrudet, that is, he is taking nectar. But when a Harijan or a lower caste person takes the same food, or rather food, it is known as karikadi, black kanji. So that much difference was there for one single item. Gundert made it single, bhakshanam. He standardized the idea, or rather the words.
Now there is a second question we'll normally face. It's not possible to learn a language as a language only. Language is a product of culture. There is a lot more to be understood about a language by knowing the culture of the language. So he brought out a book called Paranjol Mala, which is wise sayings in Kerala. And he did this mainly because this reveals the way a society thinks about itself. That was his reason. In those days, history of Kerala was taken for granted. The language was taken for granted. People spoke the language, wrote the language, but did not have a dictionary for the language. He even wrote a book on the history of Kerala.
Through that book, only we can get information about this Vasco da Gama's arrival, Portuguese, Dutch, and all other foreigners' arrival and other things. We got through that historical book, that is Kerala Pazhama.
Gundert used very simple, we say in Malayalam, Pacha Malayalam. That means basic words. That easy comprehension made his contribution to Malayalam language very important.
Hermann Gundert didn't just study Malayalam. He gave Malayalam its shape, rhythm, and its very name. He defined the rules for grammar and even introduced punctuation, the Chandrakala that still marks the pauses in our words.
Prose was brought into existence by Gundert and the other missionaries.
Dr. Hermann Gundert, while writing the introduction for Malayalam dictionary, he referred that Malayalam is a Dravidian language.
This historical note revealed that Malayalam language traces its roots back to the Sangam period, a discovery that eventually led to its recognition as one of India's classical languages. From his Ilikunu press came Padamala, Malayala Rajyam, Ayiram Paranjollugal, Kerala Pazhama, and many more texts that shaped Malayalam education and print.
So, I would like to give all respect to this great personality.
The 20 years that he spent in India was dedicated to his mission work, and more than that, his work in spheres of literature as well as education in general. He is also the first journalist in that sense. He started his newspaper, and a lot of newspapers which came later tried to follow the lead given by the journals established by Hermann Gundert.
We can call him as the father of Malayalam language and the father of Malayalam journalism.
Government of Kerala has now preferred to keep Gundert Bungalow as a museum, and they hope to make use of it as a study center for Malayalam language and literature. I think that would be the greatest tribute a state can give to a person like Hermann Gundert.
From starting the first Malayalam newspaper to giving the language its structure, he defined its grammar, shaped its prose, and built classrooms through the textbooks he created. He preserved old stories, recorded new knowledge, and opened the door for ordinary people to read, think, question, and engage with a world far bigger than their own. Hermann Gundert didn't just document Malayalam, he transformed both the language and the society shaped by it.